Do you remember right before Christmas in 2018, the Reds traded Homer Bailey for 4 guys? Yasiel Puig, interesting player, notable player, famous player, not a massive superstar, not a dude who just you jot down in black magic marker, here's what his numbers are going to look like, and they're awesome. But they traded for Yasiel Puig and Matt Kemp. Matt Kemp was kind of past his prime, but still he was Matt Kemp. Alex Wood, I thought was the key to the deal. It actually kind of turned out to be Kyle Farmer. But you remember that? That trade sent the Reds from being a team that in 2018 lost 95 games, and it didn't dramatically alter anybody's perception of how the Reds were going to play in 2019. And by the way, the Reds in 2019 lost 85 games, right? But do you remember that winter? The Reds did something. They acquired some players I've heard of. They did something. They went and got established big leaguers. They got guys who have been in all-star games before. They got a dude who used to date Rihanna. Like, they acquired players I've heard of. Do you remember that surge of electricity and enthusiasm that just worked its way through the city? I do. Because what was funny about it is nobody looked at that deal and thought, yeah, well, I'll tell you what, now the Reds are a playoff team. No, it was just, you know what, fine. They went and got somebody I had heard of. Even the offseason, and it kind of all evaporated because of COVID, 2019 to 2020. Mike Moustakas didn't work out. Mike Moustakas has had a good career, but like nobody looked at Mike Moustakas and was like, oh, dude, Hey, got a guy that you could just build the team around. This is a dude who's just one of the premier players at his position. They went and got Nick Castellanos. Nick Castellanos worked out for the 2 seasons he was here, specifically the second one. Good player. But you didn't look at his numbers. You weren't bowled over. You weren't like, wowed. They went and got Shogo Akiyama, who turned out to just be abysmal at the plate. He was pretty good in the field, I guess, but it wasn't very good. But they did stuff. They spent some money. They got guys. Do you remember that offseason? And again, it all kind of came to a screeching halt, I think, for 2 reasons. One, the Bengals were terrible that year, and then as soon as we found out they were going to have the number 1 pick in the draft and it was going to be Joe Burrow, it kind of became the offseason about Joe Burrow. And then COVID happened, and, well, everything went to hell. But do you remember? Remember, like, nobody was really picking the Reds to win the division. Nobody looked at those moves and were like, man, the Reds, they're going to be a 90-win team. But there was still excitement. And I think there's non-monetary value. I don't know what that did for Red season tickets. I don't know what it did for Red season tickets when they got Yasiel Puig or when they signed Nick Castellanos a couple of years later. But I remember the surge of optimism. And I think there's value in that. There's value in people getting excited about your organization. So just imagine. I don't know, let's say right before Christmas, week or so before Christmas, you look on social media and you see from a reputable reporter that the Reds are signing Kyle Schwarber.